Hey there, I'm Hallie, and we are coming on the air tonight with the newest update from the National Hurricane Center, literally within the last 60 seconds, about that potentially catastrophic hurricane in Florida. It turns out, it appears that Milton has wobbled a bit north toward Tampa. It is also moving fast. It is now expected to make landfall a little earlier than expected, possibly in that 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern range. All of this is on top of the tornadoes already spinning off. At least 17 already reported, some 50 warnings issued already from the National Weather Service in Miami. That's the most they've ever put out in a single day, and it's hitting some of the places you see here. Take a look at some of the video that's been coming in Broward, Hendry, Glades County. I want to show you also some video from a home camera. Look at these trees whipping around as this apparent tornado blows through. This is in Fort Myers. You can actually see it getting more and more intense as the seconds go by. We're going to take you live to Fort Myers in just a second. Some of these tornadoes are even hitting the other side of the state, like in Martin County, where the wind flipped a trailer, snapped some trees. Take a live look right now at the wind, the water in Tampa, St. Pete, Lee County, Jacksonville. This is what is happening on the ground right now. It is only going to get rainier and windier as the night progresses, as this storm is expected to make landfall in maybe as soon as 4 or 5 hours from now. This is between Tampa Bay and Venice. That is the expectation here. You saw ambulances lined up earlier. You see that on the left as hospitals evacuated patients, and highways had been jammed up. But at this point, officials say, listen, stay in, hunker down. If you haven't left by now, don't go at this point. It is simply too late. We've got team coverage tonight. You can see it all across the state. But I want to start with Bill Cairns and this latest update from the National Hurricane Center. Walk us through it, Bill, because it sounds like at this point, Sarasota is about to get hammered with storm surge potentially.
Yes, we've had a bunch of little things happen that has huge effects. So the first thing is in the last couple hours, we had a slight wobble north. Doesn't sound like much, only about 10 miles, but that has now shifted that landfall position. Instead of just right over Sarasota, now the landfall is going to be a little bit up the coast into southern Tampa Bay near Bradenton. And that means that Sarasota is the unfortunate one sitting where the worst storm surge will occur. So that's one thing that's happened. The other thing, the forward speed was supposed to slow down. We're still cruising at 17 miles per hour. It hasn't happened yet, and that's why instead of like landfall at midnight or 2 a.m., now we're thinking maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m. If it doesn't slow down, maybe even an hour before that. So this is really quickly going to get serious here in Sarasota and southern Tampa Bay. You're getting very close to that northern eastern portion of the eye wall. We'll take a closer look at that. And some dry air and shear has done its job. I mean, we went from 185. This morning we were about 160, and now we're down to 120 miles per hour. We want the wind as weak as possible because that means a lot less wind damage, less people losing power, less people have to do repairs on their structures. But we're already locked in on the storm surge, the rainfall, and of course the tornadoes, which we've had all day long. So here's the new path from the Hurricane Center. Earlier it was just south of Sarasota, and now that center line is up here along the southern portions of Tampa Bay. And the reason that's so important, we've been saying all along, is because if this line goes north up into Pinellas County here, that storm surge at landfall will rush incredibly fast through Tampa Bay and be extremely destructive to thousands of properties. Now we're mostly focused on those properties south here of Sarasota down to Venice, down to, a little bit in Port Charlotte and Fort Myers, but not the brunt of it. Not like we're going to see up here northwards from Venice up to Sarasota. Then we take it just south of I-4 as a Category 1 hurricane in the middle of the night. This is torrential rain from Tampa to Orlando. Wind damage also in those areas. A lot of trees. You're going to have power out in some spots for over a week, I'm sure. Our computer lines, they're still south of this, but look where our storm is. They're north of those lines, Hallie. That was because of that wobble that we saw in the last couple hours. And the biggest impacts is going to be the storm surge changes. Now we're looking at about 9 to 13 feet. We're no longer saying that 10 to 15. That's because we knocked those winds down a little bit to Category 3 instead of Category 4. But a 9 to 13-foot storm surge in this zone is still very problematic. So again, we're in the last couple hours here. I know everyone in the Tampa Bay area is holding their breath. It's a very close call.
Bill, I want you to stand by for 1 second, because on the right side of the screen, we're showing live pictures coming in from some of those cameras that are posted up across the region. That's Tampa Bay on the upper right-hand side of your screen. Just below it earlier, you might have seen the pictures coming out of St. Pete, where you saw people had pulled up in an SUV. They switched the driver and the passenger as they were looking to drive along, presumably to get out of Dodge, essentially. Bill, the tornado factor has been one that has developed in a big way today. Can you talk through that as we're taking a live look here at St. Pete?
Yeah, this has been prolific at producing tornadoes during the day. We've had some big storms, too. And what we're looking at here, this is north of the center, so the wind is blowing offshore, and that's why the water levels are not that high. It's like an anti-surge. Right now, the wind is being blown out of Tampa Bay and away from St. Petersburg. That's why you're not seeing any water there on the streets. I've already seen reports from Naples and up towards the Fort Myers area. We're now in minor, heading toward moderate flood stage because the storm surge is up about 3 or 4 feet in those areas, and it's coming in. That's what will eventually this evening come up the coast. I know you asked about the tornadoes. Last count I saw was 13 tornadoes reported. You can see them dotting the map, 2 of them near Fort Myers. We had a lot near Lake Okeechobee in between West Palm and up to Vero Beach. And even at this hour, we currently have at least 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings near Fort Pierce and Jupiter. So, these tornadoes, I haven't seen, Hallie, like structures destroyed. I haven't really seen many reports of a lot of damage. So this is going to kind of take a little backseat because now that storm surge is about to do extreme damage to houses and businesses as this eye moves closer to shore.
Bill Cairns, I know you're standing by and will be throughout the night here with us. Thank you very much. We're going to get back to you in a minute, but let me bring in Keith Turry now, FEMA's Acting Associate Administrator in the Office of Response and Recovery. Thank you for being with us. I know that it is all hands on deck for you tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to be here.
Let me pick up where Bill Cairns, our meteorologist, just left off on those tornadoes that we've seen all across the state. How does that add to the challenge now that FEMA faces moving forward?
Yeah, this storm is going to bring a range of hazards, as you just heard. Obviously, we have the storm surge as one of the most primary life-threatening threats, but we also have those tornadoes that have been happening throughout the course of the day and are going to continue to happen. And the rainfall is going to create significant risk for flash flooding, but also riverine flooding as those rivers are going to fill up and the water is not going to have anywhere to go. And so we've been saying all day, our partners at the National Weather Service have been saying all day to take this storm very, very seriously. And it includes that whole range of threats that you're going to see across the entire peninsula.
As we take a live look now on the left-hand side of our screens at Tampa Bay, do you believe that people are, in fact, taking this seriously? Do you have reason to believe that folks have heeded those warnings?
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing is that there have been the folks have been taking it seriously. They have been evacuating. Of course, there's always a few that don't do that, and we will work with our partners to get that message out as long as we possibly can to hope that they will take that action. At this point, as you mentioned, it's probably too late. You need to stay in place at this point. But in general, I think people have heeded the warnings. But obviously, we don't want to lose a single life if we don't have to, and so we'll keep pushing on that as long as we can.
I know that even for folks who are outside that immediate cone as far as direct impact from Milton, one of the big concerns is power outages and the possibility of extended power outages. People bracing against that. That comes with concern over carbon monoxide, because of these gas and diesel powered generators that people use instead. We saw after Hallie, according to America's Poison Centers, there was a rise in carbon monoxide exposure. How much of a concern is that for you right now? And what is your warning to folks on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people don't realize that many of the risks that come from these hurricanes comes in the hours and days after the storm passes. And so right now we're focused on the risk of the actual surge. But in the days ahead, there's going to be down power lines to watch out for, floodwaters to make sure you don't walk through or drive through. People are going to have power outages. Make sure that you're using flashlights. And if you have those generators, like you just said, they need to be 20 feet or more away from your home. And so this safety message is going to continue for a number of days. And that's still going to be the priority even after the storm clears.
Let me just ask you this. We know that the FEMA director, your boss, basically, has said the agency has the money to get through now to respond to both Hallie and to Milton here. Is FEMA ready for what's to come from Milton? And do you need more money? Should Congress come back into session and give additional resources to FEMA?
Yeah, we have all the resources we need, both financial and from a personnel perspective, to respond to both Hallie and to Milton. We got the ability to spend the funding in our fiscal year 25 budget. That is enough money for us right now. No one needs to be worried about FEMA not having enough resources. And we have pre-positioned and prepared for this. We plan for multiple hurricanes in a year. It's not a surprise to have multiple hurricanes hitting. It's unfortunate. It's difficult, but we're ready for it. We'll work with our state and local partners to respond.
Keith Turry, I know you got to go. Thank you for spending some time with us here. Appreciate that. Let me go to Sam Brock now, who's live for us in Fort Myers. But this is one of the places we actually showed you earlier. An apparent tornado had blown through. Sam, what's the situation on the ground here as we're showing viewers again those heavy winds just like ripping down a street in the area where you are?
Yeah. It's just started to pick up. But yeah, earlier, absolutely, Hallie, tornadic activity, certainly by all appearances. That's what we saw. Let me walk you through that. Around 11:30, 12 o'clock today, a flurry of tornado warnings started to come through, going off. You know exactly what that high-pitched sound means. You look at your phone. I was at our hotel, actually, which is about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown. Everyone was scurrying about trying to get inside the hotel. Later, our producer capturing some of these images not far from there. You have on Colonial Boulevard. It's one of the main strips through Fort Myers of trees that have been splintered and really create a path, much the same in terms of a footprint of a tornado you would expect to see. Metal that had been bended and wrapped around poles. Lots of folks that had close calls. We have not heard anything so far in terms of injuries, but that did really pop up early. It's not surprising that on the southeastern side of this system, we would see tornadoes, but no one was really expecting it so early this morning. Haven't had any since then, but we are starting to see some of the activity in terms of rain and wind really pick up.
Obviously, you're on the outer band of those cities that need to be on highest alert for the potential for a lot of storm surge coming in, especially as you heard that latest track from Bill Cairns here. An 8 to 12-foot storm surge. What does that look like where you are, especially 2 years after Hurricane Ian that blasted Lee County and Fort Myers head on?
Okay, this is the most important point to make. I think those two words together, storm surge, are like immediately traumatizing for anyone that lives around here. Behind me, this is the Caloosahatchee River. All right, the high tide, Hallie, is not until 8:15 tomorrow morning. The river already, and this connects Fort Myers with North Fort Myers, is basically at ground level as we speak. You see that gazebo in the middle of that island out there? That's sitting at about street level. Look where the water is right now. It's only coming up many, many feet. According to our weather folks, we talked to them, the projections for 8 to 12 feet still stand. Now, where we are right now, this is inland, and it is in an evacuation zone, but when you go way farther west, maybe 10 or 15 miles, those barrier islands that sound so familiar and evocative, we're talking about Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel Island, Gasparilla Island, Pine Island, they were decimated 2 years ago by Hurricane Ian. Now, that was more of a wind event as well, but the storm surge created so much havoc, 150 or so deaths related to Ian. Half of them were in Lee County, and you will remember those images, Hallie, of boats, I mean yachts, commercial boats that were floating above electric towers and just sort of careening their way through the streets of Fort Myers Beach. All of that happened. You know, I remember walking around the blocks and blocks of devastated homes that were just piles of rubble and iron and metal and like 8-foot-high sand dunes. That's the concern right now. If there's any good news in all of this, Hurricane Helene a couple of weeks ago definitely scared some folks there. They got, I think, 6 feet of storm surge. Water was in their home. Sewage in some cases was inside their homes. They're rebuilding these houses and now got to go, in some cases, back to ground zero or square one. Not a good situation at all. But the shelter scenario right now, 7,000 people in this county roughly are in shelters at last check, up from 1,600 yesterday. So at least people appear to be taking the lesson.
That's right. Yeah, some of those shelters even filling up. Sam, really quickly before we let you go, just because I think people are interested in this and they want to know, you are also, and our crew, making precautions to be safe when this storm comes ashore, right?
100%. We are right near a parking garage, which has 5 or 6 levels. There would be nowhere close to any storm surge. It's not really going to be a wind event where we are standing right now. We are 2 minutes away from that. In no way are we in harm's way.
Sam Brock, thank you very much. Let me bring in Jesse Kirsch. She's live for us in Sarasota now. And Jesse, this is the city that would be closest to landfall, though you saw that track now with Milton expected to go just slightly north. That means you are looking, you heard Sam talk about a big storm surge. You are looking at a potentially huge storm surge, 10 to 15 feet. Think about 15 feet. That's like the first story of a house. I mean, just to give people some perspective there, look around your house, right? That's like ceiling height. Generally, it seems like the weather's been coming in waves. It's remarkable to look at the scene behind you now because it's going to look a heck of a lot different in about 5 hours.
Yeah, and Hallie, when you talk about the storm surge potential here, especially with that slight track north, the right side of the storm is typically where we see the strongest winds, the strongest storm surge, the highest storm surge. We're looking at potentially 13 feet. That's like having multiple people stacked on top of each other. The reality is if you are caught in that storm surge, your likelihood of being able to survive it is very, very slim, if not entirely impossible. And I want to go back to where Sam is right now for a moment, Fort Myers area. I just connected with someone yesterday who I met in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian down there more than 2 years ago. And she told me she still is not back in her home from that storm more than 2 years ago. And now this whole area is potentially getting rocked by yet another storm. Here in Sarasota, they have been calling for evacuations, as they have in many other areas. We've had intermittent bouts of heavier rain, higher winds, but right now it's relatively calm out here. Right over my shoulder, beyond those buildings you can see, that is Sarasota Bay. And so when that water rushes in, we could potentially see it flooding streets. It just took a couple hours of rain for us to see flooding here already, Hallie, today. Thankfully, that flooding, I'm checking right behind me, several stories down, but that flooding has receded for the time being in the streets. But, you know, that's just from some rain, not to mention the onslaught of storm surge, which we are potentially expecting here.
Yeah. Jesse Kirsch live for us in Sarasota. Thank you. Let me go now to this theme we've been talking about, right? The issue of Helene and now Milton, right? Milton right on top of another big storm less than 2 weeks ago. And we're hearing some of the stories of people who already lost everything in Helene, now worried about how much worse it could get. Here's our Priscilla Thompson talking with somebody who left their home in St. Pete to head to Orlando ahead of Helene 10 days ago. Watch.
You're really kind of numb. You're really just kind of numb. We've all been in shock. Just your adrenaline just takes over. We've been through a lot of suffering, so I think we understand suffering in just such different ways, and I know that we get through it.
So Marissa Parr is just north of St. Pete out in Tampa for us tonight. And Marissa, you look at the situation there, at least 4 shelters are already at capacity in the Tampa Bay area. Presumably a good sign, right? It means people have left those mandatory evacuation zones and they've found safer areas. You've got highways, multiple highways closed to traffic here. Flooding has already started. If people haven't left already, it is too late now, right?
Correct, Hallie. The idea being, you can see the conditions behind me. They are deteriorating very quickly. And I think the idea being, hunker down if you can. They really don't want people on the roads anymore. It is simply not safe and in some ways impossible. We're already starting to see flooding in several roads. I've seen videos and photos of flooding on some streets, and that's just from the rainwater, not even the storm surge yet. And of course, we talked about the barrier islands here off of Pinellas County have already been closed off. We've seen several of the bridges, the major bridges around here. In fact, every single bridge that connects Pinellas County to Tampa and the surrounding areas, those have already been closed for a reason, Hallie. And as you mentioned, I think that the fact that we're already seeing shelters beginning to reach capacity, you talked about those packed highways, does illustrate why it is difficult for some people to make the decision to evacuate. It is not only costly, it is burdensome, it is very difficult to find shelter. We know we ourselves got evacuated out of several different hotels that we were initially booked in because Zone A, Zone B had mandatory evacuations, which included the hotels we were looking to stay in initially. So I want to take you to one person. She is living in Bradenton Beach, and she said that it was a last-minute decision this morning. She knew she had until around noon, but she made a very last-minute decision. We asked her how she was feeling for everyone that chose to stay behind.
Are you worried about your neighbors who chose to stay?
I am, but I love them and I know why. I know why they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it, and they're hoping that if something slight goes wrong, that they'll be able to fix it and they'll go to their second floor and they'll be okay. And I hope that that's true.
And Hallie, I will tell you, again, everyone that I have spoken to who chose to ride out the storm, Hurricane Helene, that was the previous one just under 2 weeks ago, did not make that same decision this time. Of course, there are still people we've heard about that are still choosing to ride out Milton, but at this point, this is at the time where it is just not safe to be on those roads if you change your mind at the last moment. And I will also point out, she had so much compassion. You know, she was saying, no matter what, this is a lose-lose. Even if Tampa gets spared from the worst of it, that means that somewhere a different community is bearing the brunt of this, and it's just devastating. These are tight-knit communities up and down the Gulf Coast of Florida.
One thing that I've heard repeatedly is this idea that, hey, the only thing that people feel like they can hope for is that the storm weakens dramatically. That feels extremely unlikely. But to your point, if you hope that it goes south or north, all you're doing, is looking at the potential for others to be in harm's way. Marissa, really quickly before I let you go, the high tide factor is going to be a factor in Tampa Bay, too, right, especially with this latest track?
Absolutely, and that is something everyone is keeping an eye on. I mean, we're talking to people that are at the same hotel that we've been staying at. They're keeping a very close eye on the forecast, of course, knowing that whether or not this storm wobbles north or south and how it coincides, that timing with surge and with the high tide is going to make a massive difference in what they come home to. So every ounce, every inch, every foot of water can make a massive difference, Hallie. We're talking about if someone is inside of their home, if that water level is starting to rise, even a foot could make the difference between someone surviving that or not. Hallie?
Marissa Parra, thank you for being there. We'll check back in with you, I know, in just a little bit. I appreciate it. I want to go to Dana Griffin, who's in Naples now. As we are just learning in the last couple of minutes, Florida has actually set a record, Dana, for tornado warnings in this state for a single day. 111 tornado warnings so far. That is nearly double what the previous record has been because of the way that this storm system is affecting the pressure in this huge part of the state here. We've only seen, based on our NBC News count, at least 17 apparent reported tornadoes. Remember, not every tornado warning corresponds with a tornado on the ground, but this is becoming a big factor, not just along the Gulf Coast, but in other parts of the state as well.
Absolutely. And Hallie, we are in Collier County, one of the counties where one of those tornadoes, at least one of those tornadoes, touched down, going across I-75, just about 26 miles south of where we are now. We were at the beach in Naples when we were conducting interviews, and our phone started alerting, and we saw tornado warning written in bold letters across our phone. So we hightailed it out of there, came to a parking garage further inland and higher up so that we can come back and report some of the scenes that we're seeing here. So at one point we saw the clouds really, really dark, but we did not see any rotations from our vantage point. We've seen the rain bands. We've gotten some gusty winds here. So that's kind of what the feel is like at this very moment. Hallie?
There's also the factor of shelters, right? Because a lot of the shelters in the county where you are high schools, middle schools. That tends to be somewhat typical, although there are some locations that have looked to offload shelters to private sites. They say, hey, kids got to get back to school eventually once the danger of the storm does pass. More imminently, though, the question is whether these shelters can withstand what we're about to see. And officials are pretty confident the answer to that is yes, right?
Absolutely. We spoke to officials here in Collier County. They tell us they have 9 shelters, including 1 special needs shelter. I'm assuming they have some backup generators there because that is for people who need power because of, say, medical devices so that they stay alive. Those are people who pre-registered and they have a caregiver that will go with them. We are told these shelters here have capacity up to 4,600 people. Right now, 1,900 people are in those shelters, but we're told a steady stream of people are coming through. They say they will keep their doors open. They will not close no matter what the storm does. But the good thing is they are so far inland that they believe that they will be safe and protected. And so for people who have not evacuated, maybe there's a financial strain there or there's a concern about whether or not they can bring their pets. There are places you can go, at least here in Naples, and those are some areas you should check out if you have not left, because the storm is coming, and here storm surge is a major threat and will impact this area. Hallie?
You know, Danny, we were just looking at one of the live cameras out of, I think it was St. Pete just a second ago. It looks to my eye like, fortunately, the surfers that you and your crew saw earlier out have made their way back to land, which is obviously a good thing. Is that your sense of it?
Well, we had to leave at the time. They were still there and told us that they were going to stay for another 2 hours. I want to play a bit of our conversation and listen to how they describe this moment. Is there ever a moment during the storm where you say, this is too dangerous, I'm leaving?
Not until we get kicked off, that's about it.
Well, this beach is technically closed, and we've heard law enforcement say people got to get out. Like, are you guys going to just stay anyway?
It was just the beach patrol, so we figured we'd just get by it. Figured it was no problem, not a cops yet, so just try and enjoy the surf.
And Hallie, there were several people out there, including a child. He had his small board. I'm assuming he was with his parents. But this is what they consider a surfer's dream. They do this every time a hurricane is coming. And as you can see, we're feeling some of those wind gusts pick up right now. Hallie?
Geez, just a nightmare for so many. Dana, we hope that everybody, including those guys, are safe. Dana, thank you. Let me bring in Venice Mayor Nick Picciott now, who is joining us. Mayor Picciott, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
One of the issues in your neck of the woods, nearly 10% of homes in Venice are mobile homes. One of your mobile home park has something like 200 lots just about a mile from the coast. You have said to people in manufactured houses, mobile homes, to get out and get out now. Have people largely listened? Are you confident that those evacuation zones have, in fact, been evacuated?
Yeah, I think after Ian, taught our mobile home community how at risk they are. So I think that in those specific areas, we've had some success. Yesterday, I think when people saw the forecast, they really started to take it serious. We saw a lot more evacuations yesterday. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
Of course, this stretch of the coast, we know, tends to skew in some parts a little bit older. 6 in 10 people in your community are 65 or older. What is the plan for some of these nursing homes, some of these hospitals in the area, these vulnerable older folks? Have they been able to get what they need?
Yeah, we've had a lot of evacuations. A lot of those organizations have plans, and they activated those plans ahead of time. We have seen the state come in to assist in some of these evacuations with ambulance strike teams. But all in all, I think a good majority have made their way out.
Yeah. How does this feel to you, Mr. Mayor, compared to Ian 2 years ago?
So I've responded to hurricanes for over 20 years, and this has probably been one of the most concerning storms we've seen in my lifetime.
Why do you say that?
It's a trifecta. We've never seen one barreling towards us from this direction, with the surge, with the winds, with the rain, all three of those things. And right after we just had Hallie, where we still have debris on our roadways. We saw for the first time ever in history the breach of our dune system with storm surge. So there's a lot of unique things happening that we haven't seen. And a lot of locals that I've talked to that have been here even longer than I have will confirm the same things.
You've got folks now, some of whom have evacuated, some of whom are sheltering in place. They're essentially hunkering down if they're not in a mandatory evacuation zone. One of the things that Venice had to do was shut down the city water plant because of what you're talking about, the potential for a big storm surge. How long is the expectation that people after this storm could be without water? Do you have any sense of a timeline there?
I mean, I experienced it in Charlie when I deployed. It was weeks before some of the water infrastructure could be repaired and replaced. So, wow. I mean, it depends on what happens to the main lines, but I mean, at least a few days.
Mayor, what's your message to people in Venice and to people on the coast before we let you go?
At this point, we're getting to the point where it's going to be 45-mile-an-hour sustained winds. So my biggest message is be safe. Remember, Venetians are very resilient. We'll come together. We will repair from this, but please be safe. Don't venture out in the storm tonight. Now's the time to hunker down and take this seriously.
Mayor Nick Picciott, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. A lot of folks thinking about you and your community tonight and into tomorrow. We'll check back in with you, I know, in the morning. Appreciate it. You heard us talking there about the storm surge. That's been one of the big themes here of this hurricane, given how strong it is. And you heard Mayor Picciott mention, given the angle at which it's approaching Florida, it is more perpendicular, less parallel. That is making the storm surge a big concern, maybe up to 15 feet in spots like Venice, as you just heard. So how does that happen? What are the impacts from something like that? Here's our NBC News meteorologist, Angie Lassman.
When storm surge begins to move into your neighborhood, the initial rush of water can come very suddenly, sometimes in a matter of minutes, quickly cutting off your chance to evacuate. By the time the water depth reaches 3 feet, it can already be too late. This is now a life-threatening situation. Flooded roads will cut off emergency services, and driving or wading through the water to escape will be impossible. As the surge continues to rise past 6 feet, the enormous force of the water pushing into a house can blow out the walls. At 10 feet, water will inundate the entire first floor, making a retreat to the upper floor your only option. Storm surge more than 10 feet can move well inland, sweeping houses off their foundations and destroying entire neighborhoods. In the worst hurricanes, the surge can reach depths of over 20 feet. The threat from storm surge is not something to be underestimated. And with rising sea levels due to climate change, it's likely to be an even greater threat in the years to come.
Our thanks to Angie Lassman for that. We got a lot more coming up. We're going to try to sneak in a very quick break, but right on the other side, the head of the National Hurricane Center will join us live about the latest track for Milton and why storms are not just deadly when they hit, but for hours after. We are also going to take you live to the White House at some point because we do expect to hear President Biden address the nation very soon. Stay with us. We've got continuing coverage right here on NBC News Now. We are back with our rolling coverage of Hurricane Milton, now just hours away from making landfall along the Gulf Coast of Florida. I want to bring in the director of the National Hurricane Center, Michael Brennan. You've probably seen him at briefings at the White House over the course of the last few days. Director Brennan, thank you for being with us. And I have to tell you, we're expecting to hear from President Biden any minute. So if I have to interrupt you, please accept my apologies. Let me ask you, what is the biggest risk right now? Is it the eventual storm surge? Is it the tornadoes that we're seeing on the ground? Walk us through that.
Well, it's all of it, Hallie, depending on where you are and what your relative risk is from those different hazards. For people along the west central coast of Florida, hopefully they're out of those storm surge evacuation zones, but it's absolutely the storm surge in places like Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota, down to Port Charlotte, Cape Coral, Fort Myers. We're already seeing that inundation start. And, you know, here along the west central coast from, say, Manatee, Sarasota, Charlotte counties, expecting 9 to 13 feet of inundation above ground level. And that's that violent push of water inland from the Gulf of Mexico. We've had numerous tornadoes, as you mentioned, across portions of the Florida Peninsula today. That threat is going to continue tonight. We have a tornado watch in effect for central and southern Florida with several warnings in effect. Again, those warnings can be issued with pretty short notice. These tornadoes can form very quickly, so people in those areas want to make sure they can get their warnings in the middle of the night and wake them up to any danger in their area.
Is there any chance for any kind of material difference in the next 4 hours, that the storm could wobble again, that it could weaken more, or are you surprised by how fast it's been moving?
Well, it is moving a little faster, and it's probably going to make landfall here in the next few hours. But, you know, the big message is that the hazards are ongoing, and they're pretty much going to happen as they play out now, regardless of what might change with the storm in terms of a wobble here or there, or a weakening or less weakening. You're really worried about the potential for those hurricane conditions across much of the state of Florida. Everywhere you see in red here under a hurricane warning: Orlando, Palm Coast, Melbourne, Sarasota, Tampa. Going to be a widespread damaging wind event overnight and into Thursday from west to east across the Florida Peninsula. Widespread power outages, trees down, structural damage. So again, that's all coming regardless of whether the winds drop another 5 or 10 miles per hour or not. Right now, Milton's moving very quickly towards the Florida coast at about 17 miles per hour.
What would you say to people who have not evacuated right now?
Well, it's probably too late, but you should still try to get out if you're in one of those storm surge evacuation zones along the coast. Once that water starts to rise, we've seen people killed in previous hurricanes trying to get to their cars, trying to get out when it's too late. So don't become a statistic like that.
Director Brennan, thank you so much for being with us. Of course, the National Hurricane Center, a busy night ahead for you. I appreciate it. As mentioned, President Biden is set to speak any second now, live from the White House. He will give an update on Hurricane Milton. We're going to take you to an NBC News special report.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day. We're coming on the air with breaking news here in Florida, where we are already feeling the powerful effects of Hurricane Milton, a massive Category 3 storm closing in on the state's west coast. President Biden is making remarks on Hurricane Milton. We'll take those in just a moment, but first a quick update. Right now, we think landfall is expected just hours from now here in the Tampa Bay area. But Milton's outer bands are already pounding the coast and will bring winds of at least 120 miles an hour. Flooding expected to be, frankly, catastrophic, with life-threatening storm surge up to 13 feet in some areas. Earlier today, Milton spawned a tornado outbreak that ripped across the southern section of the state called Alligator Alley. From Naples in the west across to Fort Lauderdale, the forecast for the hurricane is nothing short of terrifying. Millions have been ordered to evacuate. Let's go now to the president as he speaks.
Good evening. Within a few hours, Hurricane Milton is expected to make landfall on the west coast of Florida, the western coast of Florida. Already we're seeing impacts from the storm, including significant winds and heavy rain. And there's also been frequent and widespread tornado warnings throughout the day. And they're continued and expected to expand as Milton moves over land, including a few that have already touched down in South Florida. Currently, Milton is a Category 3 with wind speeds up to 120 miles per hour. But no one should be confused. It's still expected to be one of the most and worst destructive hurricanes to hit Florida in over a century. You know, both the heads of the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service made it very clear in conversations I've had with them earlier today Milton still carries incredible destructiveness, can wipe out communities, can cause loss of life. Storm surge is still expected to be up to 13 feet. So I urge everyone in Hurricane Milton's path to listen to local officials and follow all the safety instructions they give. At this point, evacuation is probably difficult. So I encourage people to look for safer shelter. Sometimes moving just a few miles can mean the difference between life and death. We've already approved emergency declarations for Florida. We have thousands of federal personnel on the ground, and we've staged and are ready to go. We have 20 million meals, 40 million liters of water. At my direction, the Secretary of Defense, Austin, has pre-positioned search and rescue teams, helicopters, and high water speed vehicles as close to the storm as possible, so they're ready to conduct life-saving missions. And the administrator of FEMA will be on site tonight in Florida, and the state's emergency operations. Both Administrator Criswell and I will be in constant contact with state and local officials in the hours ahead. Once the storm hits, we're going to work with state officials to clear debris, restore power, and do it as fast as possible. The Army Corps of Engineers will pump out water and decrease flooding. We've already directed the Department of Defense to be ready to provide active duty service members to support Florida after the storm surge if Governor DeSantis requests the help, which I expect he might, just like we did in North Carolina. I have surged over 1,000 U.S. Coast Guard personnel to perform search and rescue missions and reopen the port of Tampa as soon as possible. Now, I want to reiterate a point I made clear earlier today to the folks who have been impacted by Helene. This impact, and will be now impacted by Milton. Over the last few weeks, there's been reckless and irresponsible and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies about what's going on. It's undermining confidence in the people in Florida and incredible rescue and recovery work that has been undertaken. Literally, there are thousands of fellow Americans who are putting their lives at stake and putting on the line to do the dangerous work that needs to be done now. And it's harmful to those who most need the help. Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. It's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either. They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about? Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop. Let me close with this. As difficult as these days and weeks have been, we've seen incredible courage by so many of our fellow Americans. I want to thank all the first responders for running toward danger instead of away from it, for saving lives and making a difference. FEMA personnel risking their lives, climbing on hillsides to reach people who cut off by Helene. Army National Guard flying through the gale wind force that it's amazing what they're doing. Firefighters lifting collapsed wood and metal in an attempt to see if there are survivors, any survivors under the debris, risking their lives. Coast Guard teams rappelling from helicopters to rescue people and risking their own lives. And there are countless friends and neighbors who have sacrificed for the greater good. Volunteers leaving their own families behind to help search for someone else's family. Fellow Americans looking out for one another. That's America at its very best. That's who we are. So my final message tonight is to the people of Florida and all the impacted states. We've got your back. We've got your back. And Kamala and I will be there for as long as it takes to rescue, recover, and rebuild. May God bless you all, and may God protect those serving in the eye of this storm on behalf of our nation. Thank you.
Why do you think Trump is spreading misinformation? Why do you think Trump President Trump has sent testing kits to President Putin during the height of the pandemic. Do you have a comment, sir? Why do you think Trump is un-American? Why do you think Trump is spreading this information?
I don't know. I simply don't know. You can speculate, but I just find it. I've used the phrase more than I've used it ever in my whole career. Un-American. It's un-American. It's not who the hell we are. What are they talking about?
Sir, have you considered calling him and asking him to stop doing that? To stop spreading this?
Come on.
Mr. President, does Governor DeSantis need to take Vice President Harris's calls?
All I can tell you is I'm talking to Governor DeSantis. He's been very gracious. He's thanked me for all we've done. He knows what we're doing, and I think that's important.
Can you say that Florida has everything it needs for the storm?
President Biden taking a few questions after speaking to the press and the American people about the status of the response to what is unfolding before our eyes here, Hurricane Milton. These are some of the pictures you're seeing out of Tampa, where we are right now. The president also offering a full-throated rebuttal to some of the unsubstantiated rumors about the government's response and rescue and recovery operations. The president showing he is deeply exacerbated by some of what has been reported. In the meantime, he's also, of course, talking about what the government faces right now as this storm begins to build speed. Still a few hours off the Florida coast, but on a track that will take it really to the central heart of Florida. Let's go to Al Roker, who is watching the forecast. Al, can you march us through the evening?
Okay, Lester, here's the deal. And with each progressive model run of this, we've actually seen the path move a little further north, closer to Tampa, St. Pete. Now, currently, it is a Category 3 storm, as you mentioned. But again, as I like to, do not pay attention to the category. It's the impacts of this system that are going to make the difference. 120-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving northeast at 17 miles per hour. Tornado watches from Key West to Daytona Beach right now. And again, you can see this system really getting itself wrapped up. Makes landfall sometime this evening. We're thinking 8, 9 o'clock maybe to between then and midnight. But the forward motion of that keeps those winds actually pushing in storm surge at an even greater level. And then by early tomorrow morning, it's midpoint in the state, passing over Orlando, and then out to sea by Thursday afternoon. In the meantime, the storm surge, the expected peak is going to be from midnight to 5 a.m. from Sarasota down to Boca Grande, probably 9 to 13 feet, 8 to 12 feet going to the north, including Tampa, and another 3 to 5 feet as the storm exits and makes its way out into sea. Storm surge, what is it? It's that wall of water on top of a high tide that starts to move inland as those normal sea levels rise. The wind pushes that water. Water finds its way. The storm surge, of course, deadliest threat from the hurricane. The other impacts we worry about, the wind. We're talking about now wind gusts in Sarasota, 127 miles per hour. That is going to blow out windows and high rises, and in fact, power outages from Sarasota to right across the central part of the state could last for weeks, if not days. And then as far as the rainfall is concerned, we are talking about a high risk, Lester, from the eastern part of the state across Orlando to down to Sarasota. We could be looking at 18 inches of rain or more, but generally about 5 to 10 inches of rain. That is going to be catastrophic as far as infrastructure is concerned, roads washed out. And again, that storm surge, the thing that we are most concerned. Already Fort Myers seeing a few feet of storm surge already. Lester?
All right, Al, thanks for that update. Let's go to Tom Yamas in Sarasota. Al mentioned Sarasota. Tom, what are you seeing there?
Good evening, Lester. The conditions have dramatically gotten worse over the last hour here in Sarasota. We're feeling tropical storm force wind gusts right now. We're nowhere near the hurricane force wind just yet, but it's picking up. You can hear it maybe in the background. You can see the palm trees here starting to move a little bit. The major concern here, besides those hurricane force winds, of course, the storm surge that Al was talking about. We're going to be at a high level tonight as we broadcast throughout this storm. But here in Sarasota, they're waiting for that massive storm surge, that historic storm surge that will take out the first floor, possibly the second floor of buildings around here. There's a lot of boarded up doors. This entire area has been evacuated. In fact, to the barrier islands, which you can no longer get access to, they've cut off the water there to send a signal that if you stay on those barrier islands and the landfall is right over Sarasota, you will not survive this storm. So the situation here is critical. On top of all this, every hour or so we get these warnings about tornadoes. So Floridians are on edge right now because regardless of where you live in the state, you are scared tonight because there are tornado warnings and there's this massive hurricane coming through. Luckily, it feels like people heeded those evacuation warnings. There was miles of traffic for days, which is actually a good sign. A lot of the gas stations did run out of fuel. It was hard to find fuel in these last final hours. Hotels were booked up. But again, those are all signs that people were trying to get out, which was the right thing to do. And right now it's a waiting game. We did have that breaking news, the earlier landfall, so it should hit around the Sarasota area, maybe just north of us a little earlier. We'll know over the next several hours what's going to happen here. For now, Lester, I'm going to send it back to you and go inside.
All right, Tom, you guys hunker down, and as we continue to watch this here in Tampa, you can see the trees behind me. Mainly the story right now here, besides the wind, is some heavy rain. They're expected to get a lot of it here. I say we are expected to get a lot of it here. Let's go to Sam Brock now. He is in Fort Myers, Florida. What's the picture there, Sam?
Lester, the picture right now is it's an excruciating wait for Southwest Florida. Lee County, where we are right now, 800,000 people. 416,000 of them are under mandatory evacuation, Lester. 13 different counties in the state of Florida have some level of mandatory evacuation. That equates to about a quarter of the entire state of Florida. Tom was just talking about storm surge. Al as well in Fort Myers. I want to point this out for you for a second. Caloosahatchee, the river right here. Look at these levels at the moment, okay? We are still hours away from tomorrow morning when there's going to be high tide, and the river level is basically at the street. You see the gazebo over my shoulder. That is street level right there. The water is sitting just below it. So this is a concern not just for here, Fort Myers, North Fort Myers on that side. We're inland. If you go out to the barrier islands, as Tom was just mentioning, we're talking about Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island. Okay, they were decimated by Hurricane Ian 2 years ago. The projections still hold right now for an 8 to 12-foot storm surge. Lester, you and I were both on the ground for Ian 2 years ago when we saw boats in the aftermath of this that had been lifted up above electric lines and were just sprawled out in the middle of streets. Block after block of homes crumpled into just wood and mangled metal and 8 to 10 feet high sand dunes. That is what's conjuring up right now in our mind's eye as we look at a scenario at least where the shelters are starting to fill. I'll leave you with this. Here in Lee County, they said that as of yesterday, among the 13 shelters, they had about 1,600 people. Tonight, it's almost 7,000 across the state of Florida. There are roughly 150 shelters, according to Governor DeSantis, with the capacity for 200,000 people, but they're at about 30,000 right now. You just hope, Lester, that enough people who are out there in mandatory evacuation zones like those barrier islands left when they still had time. Lester, back to you.
Yeah, Sam, and I appreciate you noting that Ian and the storm surge. Unless you have seen a storm surge or seen what it can do, it's hard to appreciate the idea of rapidly filling up a bathtub of water. That's the best I can tell you, but no chance to outrun it. And again, we saw in that hurricane boats lifted up and suspended in trees. Unbelievable. It's going to be a long night. That concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead all night long on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com, and a full wrap-up when I see you tonight on NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt in Tampa. Good day for now.
We are back here on NBC News Now, picking up where that NBC special report left off with continuing coverage just hours away now from Hurricane Milton making landfall. I want to show you a live shot of Tampa Bay. We know that that is going to be part of what we'll see, that storm surge, those intense winds, that intense rain. Rebecca Turley is riding out the hurricane there in the Tampa area. She is joining us now. Rebecca, thank you for being on with us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing, and what made you decide to stay? I want to be clear for folks, you are not in a mandatory evacuation zone, so you're choosing to hunker down at home, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm actually in evacuation zone D, so I'm a little far off, and that's kind of why I actually stayed. I'm not in a flood zone or evacuation zone.
Okay. What's your level of concern as the storm gets closer?
I've gotten a little bit nervous. My actual patio is getting filled with water as we speak. I'm not in a flood zone, but it's just like, this is way more water than Helene was. And like 2 days ago, flights were sold out. I couldn't leave. I have 3 dogs with me. So me trying to go somewhere, they're like my kids. So I can't just up and leave and find somewhere for us to go last minute. So it's a little nerve wracking, but I'm just going to, you know, hold it out the best I can. Gas, I went to 5 gas stations before I could find gas, and that was 2 days ago. Wow. Gas was running out everywhere. It was so hard to find. And when I seen how the streets were, it was like, am I going to make it anywhere if I go? Is there going to be enough gas on the way? So I felt that it was just safest to stay home and, you know, try to ride it out. I made sure to have the supplies I, you know, could get and hunker down until.
Okay. And you explain some of the preparations you've taken. You mentioned you've got gas. I assume you've got the, you know, the chargers for your phone ready to go. You've got contacts for family at a state, et cetera.
Yes. I've gotten lights, candles, a bunch of water just to be prepared, just in case the water gets shut off. If the power goes out, I got perishables, a lot of bread, peanut butter, jelly, just basic stuff to get me by. I was actually here when Ian happened, so my power was out for 7 days then. So that's kind of the headspace I prepared myself for. Just, you know, prepare the power's going to go out as the worst thing to happen. But I'm here, going to try to hold on as best as possible.
Do you feel like this storm is different than Ian, Rebecca?
Oh, yes. This is way different than Ian. The impact is showing. Last time it was like it wasn't raining this much. It was a heavy rain, but it's like the wind is, it's massive compared to what it was. Now it's a little bit early. It hasn't hit as much, but just as much rain as I said, my patio's filling with water now. I can kind of see that it's a little bit stronger than that.
Rebecca Turley, thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you stay safe. Obviously, we're going to be checking back in with you, I know, throughout the night and in the morning just to make sure that you did okay. So a lot of folks thinking about you and your community. I want to take you back to Fort Myers now with Hurricane Milton about 100 miles offshore and at least 17 tornadoes reported as Milton has creeped closer. It's actually moving at a pretty quick clip. Look at this. This is one of those apparent tornadoes whipping up those trees as it blew through. You can see it getting more and more intense. You see those winds picking up there. This was shot off of somebody's like home cam, basically like a driveway cam. All of it's happening some 2 years after Hurricane Ian plowed through the city. You just heard Rebecca talking about that, our guest from Tampa, washing away homes. Remember that? Boats in those power lines, as you heard Lester talk about just a moment ago. People are still rebuilding from that, and now they're bracing for history to repeat itself in so many ways. Jay Gray is joining us now from Fort Myers. And Jay, let me start with the situation on the ground and those tornadoes popping up in some of those outer rain bands of the hurricane. What have you seen on the ground there?
Yeah, very severe with regard to those tornadoes, Hallie. We've seen it rip the tops off of homes. We've seen it damage buildings and businesses. And so those tornadoes are a very real concern and will be throughout the duration of this storm, and especially as it moves on through. We'll see another potential for more of those tornadoes. On the ground, as far as the storm is concerned, we continue to see the very early outer bands here. So the wind will pick up as it's doing right now. We'll see a driving rain and then get a bit of a lull. And that lull obviously is going to shrink as this storm continues to barrel in closer to the shoreline. And as it makes landfall, we will see winds well over 100 miles an hour. We'll see that driving rain that won't stop, that will continue to push. And we're already seeing a bit of a storm surge here in Fort Myers. We could see, according to forecasters, 10 to 15 feet before it's all said and done. And obviously that will push water, Hallie, into areas it's never been in this community before.
Yeah, and you know the impact from Hurricane Ian, a monster storm then, as now there's another monster storm. Looking at my clock here, maybe just 3 hours away from making landfall. We think around 9 o'clock Eastern is as early as it could come on shore. Sometime maybe between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern, so a little earlier than the initial expectation. Talk us through that dynamic as people are still rebuilding.
Yeah, I've got a dear friend who lives in Fort Myers Beach, and I talked to him during Helene. He was obviously concerned about that storm, and I said, where are you at with your home? He said, I'm 80% back 2 years later, and now he's had to leave that home, everything behind. get evacuated to higher ground, to a safe spot, not knowing what he's going to come back to. And that's the story you hear over and over from so many in this region. Ian devastated this area. Then you had Debbie. Then you had Hallie. And it just keeps going and going and going. There's a frustration. There's a fatigue from the storms here. And a lot of people really worried because this one, Hallie, is the biggest of all that we've seen so far. This could be the biggest, could deliver the most damage.
Jay Gray live for us there in the Gulf Coast of Florida. Jay, hunker down. We know that you and your crew will stay safe. Thank you very much for being with us. Let's take you a little further north now, right up along the coast, up to St. Petersburg, which is just outside Tampa, closer to where that storm looks like it could make a direct hit. Right now, it is Bradenton that is in the bullseye. The storm surge set to hit Sarasota, and St. Pete is not anywhere close to being out of the woods. I want to bring in the city's mayor now, Kenneth Welch. Mayor Welch, thank you for being on with us.
Good to be with you, Hallie.
I know that your city, the government there, is warning of both stronger winds and more of a storm surge than you saw just a couple weeks ago during Helene. With that in mind, what, if anything, is different about how you're getting ready for Milton? And is your advice to people now just to, if they haven't left, stay where they are?
Yes, we've been for the last 48 hours urging people if they're in evac zones A, B, or C to evacuate, whether it's in the city, in the county, or to leave the county altogether. And I think folks have been really responsive. The call for evacuation is about half of the county population of 1 million, so 500,000 people are asked to leave. Same ratio applies to our city. About half of our city of 270,000 were in an evac zone, we believe. And going back to those neighborhoods, they are really empty. Our shelters are filling up with folks, so I think they have responded. At this point, with the winds picking up, folks really need to just shelter where they are. We've asked them to get to evacuation shelters all day, and a lot of folks have responded to that. But the time is running out very quickly. The storm is almost here.
There are those huge debris piles that have been left over as people clean up from Helene. What is your level of worry about those becoming projectiles, essentially, as we see this wind pick up more and more throughout the night?
Well, I think it works to our benefit that most of that debris, in most cases, is in an evacuation zone. And so while it was impossible for any government to remove 6 months of debris in 6 days, most of it is in those areas where folks should have evacuated from. And so we had a Herculean effort to try to get most of that debris up. The fact of the matter is there will be debris that will contribute, hopefully just to property damage and no injuries, because, again, most of those evac areas should be clear. But it's just the timing and the double whammy of Milton after Helene within 2 weeks.
One of the things that's so striking, and I've got family down there in Pasco County and know the area well, it is a population-dense area. You got a lot of people right in this section of coast, unlike some other storms that we saw move further north towards the Big Bend, for example, further south down towards the Everglades. Looking ahead, right, looking forward, do you think that the impact of these storms getting stronger, getting more intense, will cause people perhaps to rethink where they end up in Florida?
The folks are still coming to Florida. They're still coming to Pinellas County, and you're right.
Yeah.
We're the most densely populated county in the state of Florida. We have to adapt. There are places that are still safe in St. Petersburg and in Pinellas County. But in those coastal areas, we just have to act based on the information. We know where the surge will happen. We know how to run away from the water and hide from the wind. We just need to be smart about the way we do that and about how we build our infrastructure going forward, being informed about the real impact of sea level rise and extreme weather.
Mayor Welch, thank you very much for being with us. A lot of people thinking about
Thank you,
about your town, about your region. We're going to stay on top of this storm, obviously, as it continues to get closer to making landfall. Appreciate your time. We're going to take a quick pause here and let some other stations join us for just a second. Hi, I'm Hallie. We are coming on the air tonight with special rolling coverage of Hurricane Milton, with that potentially catastrophic storm getting closer and closer to Florida. In just the last hour, we learned more about the hurricane's track and timing. It turns out Milton has wobbled north slightly toward Tampa. It means that Sarasota is about to get slammed with storm surge. And Milton is moving fast. It's now expected to make landfall earlier than we thought initially, possibly as early as 3 hours from now in that 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern range. All of this is on top of the tornadoes already spinning off. At least 17 already reported today and more than 100 warnings issued. That is the most that the state of Florida has ever seen in a single day. I want to show you this. This is new video. We're just getting into it. This is a wedge tornado that just hit Fort Pierce. Look at that. You see the debris flying by. This is very scary. And again, we literally got this into us maybe 5 minutes ago. This is just happening late tonight. It's an indication of what else we could see in areas across the state, as we've already seen tornadoes in Broward, Hendry, Glades County. You see some of those twisters on screen now. And then from a home camera today, look at this. Trees whipping around as an apparent tornado blew through in Fort Myers. We're going to take you there live in just a second. Some of these twisters have even hit the other side of the state, like in Martin County. Look at that wind flipping a trailer, snapping trees. Step back, right? 3 hours from landfall. Look at live now. The wind, the water in Tampa, in St. Pete, Lee County, Jacksonville, as we are maybe just 3 hours away now. It is set to make landfall just south of the Tampa Bay area, just north of Sarasota. So Bradenton is in line, it appears at this moment, for a direct hit. On the left side, you see ambulances lined up earlier as hospitals evacuated patients. And highways, they were jammed up. But at this point, officials say, if you have not left by now, don't go anywhere. It is too late. Stay in, hunker down, stay safe to the degree that you can. We've got team coverage all across the state tonight. You see our team of correspondents out. But I want to start with our NBC News meteorologist, Bill Cairns, and the latest update on track and timing. Bill, what are you seeing? And importantly, what do we know about some of these tornadoes that have just come through?
Yeah, we know that one that struck Fort Pierce and into Vero Beach was a large wedge tornado. We have significant damage that's been done. I've seen pictures of homes that have been destroyed. Search and rescue is going on now, trying to help people. This isn't an area where they evacuated. This is on the east coast of Florida. All these red icons show you where we've had tornadoes. And the big one we just showed you. If you guys want to play that video again. So this is the Florida Department of Transportation camera. This is I-95. You know, almost all of us have driven I-95 at some point in our lives through Florida, and this is as it was crossing I-95. You could see the debris. So this, wedge tornado had picked up and destroyed objects, was sucking it up, throwing the stuff around, and you can see how violent it gets there at the very end as the camera goes out. You can notice there's not a lot of cars there. Hopefully they saw it, they stopped, and they had a big heads up on this. But there's been significant damage. It's very unusual, Hallie. Usually we get small, fast-moving tornadoes in hurricanes. This was unusually strong, maybe one of the strongest ever for a tornado associated with a hurricane. And at the same exact time...
And Bill, can I just ask you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it surprising to you that that happened on the other side of the state from where Milton's coming on shore?
No, usually it's with the outer bands, and there's a lot of dry air being sucked in, so it's almost like a scenario we'd get in the Midwest where we have the dry air hitting the humid air, and that's where we're getting all those, all the tornadoes are popping on the maps there. So, no. I guess the answer to your question is no, that doesn't really surprise me. And we do have a tornado watch that's up until 9 o'clock. So the other thing, it's amazing that, I have an eye of a hurricane that's a major hurricane making landfall as we speak. The eye wall, not the center yet. That's going to come in another couple hours. But you notice it grew in size. This whole circle here is now the eye. It's like, it looks like it's like 30, 40 miles, in diameter across. But that western portion of it is now coming on shore. So here's a closer view. Here's Sarasota. Here's Tampa. Tampa's locked on the north side of this. You are going to get significant rain. We are fearful you could get a foot of rain. And by the looks of this, if this starts slowing down and you stay in this 2 inches per hour, yes, you're not going to get the storm surge in Tampa. It doesn't look like anymore, but you are going to get significant freshwater flooding, rain flooding. As far as the eye goes, the strongest winds would be right in here. They should be coming on shore now in Sarasota southwards here down to Venice. This is also where the storm surge is quickly rising. I checked Naples out. Their storm surge right now is about 4 feet. Fort Myers is around 2 or 3, but that's going to quickly jump up the coast. And that center is roughly 45 miles from Sarasota. So we're moving at about 15 miles per hour, and it may slow down a little bit. You do the math, that gives us about 9, 10, maybe at late 11 p.m. And now we're starting to lose power, too. Gusts to 61, gusts to 60. Brooksville, far north of Tampa, gusts to 60. So this is when we're going to start going in the dark as the sun is setting. And we do expect expect by about 2 a.m., this storm will be in the middle of the state, just south of the Disney complex and Universal Studios here, and heading for the Space Coast. So, Hallie, pretty wild. So many things going on at once with this storm. I south of in Bradenton, I just saw a picture of a house that's on fire in the middle of the storm. I know that's a normal occurrence, especially if we get that salt water and we get electric vehicles mixing. But yeah, this is the beginning of a very difficult night for so many people.
And Bill, just go through that one more time, just so we're super crystal clear on this. It is accurate to say then that Milton has started to move onshore. Not the eye yet. It has not fully made landfall, but we are seeing those outer bands of wind hitting what, Sarasota and St. Pete now, yeah?
Right, yeah. So I'll go back here and show you. So this is what we consider the eye. Very obvious, very clear here. And this is what we call the eye wall around it. That's where the strongest winds are. In the middle would actually be the calm. So this eye wall, the eastern and northeastern section of that eye wall, is now moving onshore. And that's where you'd expect the strongest winds to be. That's where you'd get the power outages, the hurricane gusts. If we're going to have gusts up to 100, 110 miles per hour, it would be occurring shortly, if not already, here around Sarasota, Englewood to Venice Beach. That would be the wind destruction from this storm. It looks like Tampa, you're going to stay out of most of the highest winds. You're probably going to stay in that 60 to 80 range. But yeah, so it is safe to say that the eye in the eye wall is now making landfall. But until that center crosses, Hallie, that's when the Hurricane Center says we officially have landfall, and that's still about 45 miles away.
Okay, got it, Bill. Biggest concern to you right now, then, is both the wind speed and those tornadoes spawning off?
Yeah, we still got a few areas with the tornadoes, but the biggest concern is that surge. Now it is rushing in, and if there's people that stayed behind in their homes, this is when they get really scared, when they start to see the water rising rapidly, and they start to realize they have no choice. They can't get out anymore. So that was the fear going into this, was, you know, most of this damage was going to be caused by the storm surge, and that is now just beginning and will be with us well through midnight.
Bill Cairns, our NBC News meteorologist, tracking all of it. Bill, we may pop back over to you in the next couple of minutes. I know you're staying close to the camera, staying close to the track. I just wanted to let you know that there. We are going to take you live to Sarasota in just a second, but I want to take you to Fort Myers first, where our Sam Brock is. One place that is seeing, Sam, a lot of rain and a lot of wind right now. We see it.
Hi, Hallie. Not a lot of rain. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of your question. The wind intervals, though, are shortening. We're starting to get those tropical force winds. You'll probably see them over the course of this live shot. Storm surge, though, remains the real issue here, and specifically the fact that you have in this county 800,000 people in Lee County. Half of them are under a mandatory evacuation because so much of it is along the water. This is the Caloosahatchee River behind me. You'll see it rock and sway a little bit. The water levels at this point are already pretty close to street level, and that storm surge has started to kick in here. But I'm well inland, Hallie. This is Fort Myers. Across the bridge is North Fort Myers, but about 8-10 miles west in that direction, you have all these barrier islands. And I know you said you have relatives that live in Pasco County, and so those barrier islands are what many people sort of envision for Florida. It's this bucolic and really gorgeous glistening beaches and water, historic hotels. People flock to those areas, but they are so exposed, just jutting out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and it lines all the way up, not just, of course, from southwest where we are, but really as you head up toward the Tampa area, really the same region. You're talking about dozens upon dozens of barrier islands with thousands of people living on them that cannot survive and will not survive an 8 to 12-foot storm surge, which is what is projected right now, Hallie.
Sam Brock, live for us there in Fort Myers. Sam, thank you. I'm going to let you go with your crew in a second. I see that wind band picking up there. We talked about that Fort Pierce tornado. Let me bring back in Bill, because we're getting more video in from this now. I haven't actually seen it yet because our team is turning this around literally the second that it's coming in. Let me play some of this here because, again, the tornado issue has become a problem, obviously, in the area of Fort Pierce, which is near Vero Beach. Now, remember, this is on the other side of the state. So this is not the Gulf Coast where Milton's eye wall is now coming onshore. We're talking about the other side of the state. So take a look at this. Bill, that looks intense.
Right. That's what, we showed you the camera before that went through that. This is obviously a different Florida Department of Transportation camera, and it shows a violent wedge tornado. You can see what looks like some suction vorticities on the edge of that thing. This looks like something that you would see in the peak of the spring in this, through the Midwest. I mean, you can see some debris there on the left rotating around. That's just kind of standing in the air. You can see how fast it was moving too. I mean, that looks like it was probably moving Yeah, that looks like it was probably moving at least at 30 to 40 miles per hour, so not a lot of heads up. In the meantime, after I last talked to you, in the St. Lucie area, the Sheriff's Department transportation building was destroyed by this tornado. The building is a metal freestanding building. You can see it there.
Wow.
Numerous cars have been crushed. The Sheriff's Department did come out to say that no officers were harmed, that everyone is okay. Obviously, they got some significant damage, and those are the first responders that, at least at this moment, this area, this little office is not able to respond.
Yeah, Bill Cairns, it is scary to see, and it is just one of several threats that we're watching tonight. Bill, I'm going to have you stand by for a little bit longer, but let me go to Jesse Kirsch, because, Jesse, one of the things that Bill's talked about now is the eye wall of Milton now coming onshore where you are in Sarasota. What's it like?
Yeah, Hallie, nothing indicating at this point that we have the strongest winds that we're expecting. I know at one point, I don't know if it's changed as the track has been changing, obviously a very fluid situation, but we were expecting about 95-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We're getting a pretty good wind gust right now and mist pouring into this parking garage where we are. But by and large, it has not been any kind of sustained max wind situation yet. But I can tell you that the winds have been steadily blowing and the rain has been steadily falling for a good while now. I also want to call your attention to something we just saw, which is honestly unfathomable to me. So throughout the day, we've seen a police vehicle with lights on. From our vantage point, we've been able to see the lights blocking the access lanes to the causeway to get onto a barrier island here. That vehicle is gone, indicating that first responders are potentially taking cover themselves. A short time ago just saw a vehicle without any kind of first responder lights flashing driving out onto that causeway. And the idea of that at this hour is unconscionable to me, because officials have made clear the time to evacuate has passed and people should be sheltering in place at this point. But at least
just
some
to be
people
clear,
seem
Jesse,
to
the car
still
was
be out in
going
this community.
It was going onto the barrier island, or it was trying to come
Onto
off
the
the barrier
causeway.
island?
That is Sarasota Bay behind us here, and over there is Lido Key, an area called St. Armand Circle for people who might be familiar with the area. Shopping, homes right along the coast on a barrier island. And I saw a vehicle driving out there. I just saw another one going out there, actually, Hallie. I can see the stop lights. And again, I'm not seeing red and blue. I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing police lights. I'm not seeing anything indicating it's a power truck or an EMS vehicle or any kind of utility, right? Nothing to suggest that. And frankly, the fact that the police vehicle is gone tells me that the police are deeming it enough of a risk potentially that they don't want to even be out there telling people to not go out there anymore. So that's the situation right now. And, we're waiting for this landfall. The timeline has been accelerating, it seems. And we know that we are effectively in the bullseye right now.
Jesse, the story that you tell, I think, anecdotally illustrates what officials have been warning about for a while, that at a certain point they have to pull first responders back because it is no longer safe for them to be out in the environment with a storm like Milton coming through, Jesse. That has been something we have heard again and again over the course of the last 48 hours from Fort Myers up through Tampa and beyond.
Yeah, and the aftermath of this is also going to be further complicated for those first responders because of all this debris that is out there, Hallie. It's been the story we've been talking about for days, and I think, to me, it is a big unknown in all of this. This is the fourth hurricane I've covered since the start of this hurricane season, since July. And the season started earlier than that, but for me, since July. And the idea of all this debris is not something I have come across in any of those other storms on this level. And so I don't think we fully know what the impact is going to be, but I know at least one county official in this area had told me that they were, looking at that potentially being an obstruction for first responders, to say nothing of the fact that all of that can become missiles in the air effectively and can be battering rams for the storm surge. By the way, we're expecting more than 10 feet here potentially.
And just to put that into perspective, people, if you look at 10 feet, if you look at places a little further north or even south of you, Jesse, maybe 15 feet, that's the first story of a house. I mean, just to give people some perspective there,
yeah, you're
that is
climbing upstairs
a huge
at that point,
amount of water.
and you're hoping you're going to be okay. Yeah, you're climbing
100%.
upstairs, you're hoping you're going to be okay, and you're hoping, frankly, your home is not going to be ripped off its foundation, because we know in the last 2 weeks we've seen it both, from the aftermath of a hurricane and also the flooding that came with it way to the north in North Carolina. We know what rushing water can do in any number of forms, and it's not something to contend with.
Jesse, only because I know folks are often interested in this, you are in a location that is safe. You're in a parking garage, you've got a big structure around you, you are not on low ground, right?
No, so we are multiple stories up because we are anticipating that storm surge. And I'm going to ask my photographer, David, to back out a little bit and give you an idea. You can see this parking garage. with the exception of these pocket windows in the corner, is pretty much all insulated wall. And so we explicitly chose a location like this to be elevated, because, again, the bay is right back there, but we're also mindful of all that extra debris. And so in a typical hurricane, and there's nothing typical about a hurricane, but when we go out and cover these things, we're often on the street, particularly if we're inland, right? We're on the street at times, out in the elements, but we're not even taking those chances when these winds start picking up this time around because of that added concern around the debris. So we have explicitly looked for a place where we can shield ourselves even more so than we typically would.
Jesse Kirsch live for us there in Sarasota. Jesse, thank you. One of the things that Jesse and I just discussed was this issue of first responders having to pull back. We have just learned literally seconds ago that in St. Petersburg, St. Pete says that first responder operations as of right now are paused. They say that is for the safety of fire, police, medical teams. They are not going to be able to respond to emergency calls until the situation gets safer. Keep in mind that Milton still has not fully come on shore yet. You heard Bill Cairns talk about that center of the eye still being about 45 miles away. So we are now in the thick of it with first responders, at least in St. Pete. You're taking a look at the live shot there on the left side of your screen, pulling back at this moment. So with all that said, I want to take you back to Sarasota now to our next guest, Vladimir Natsev, who is hunkering down along with his wife in their condo in downtown Sarasota. Vlad, thank you very much for joining us. I just have to ask first, how are you doing? Are you okay?
Yes, we are okay. We're in a well-insulated apartment in a high-rise. We're away from the ground.
Got it. And you are also, I should note, in a mandatory evacuation zone. You have chosen to hunker down. You've been unable to leave. Do I understand that correctly? That was not an option for you to evacuate?
No, it was an option to evacuate a couple days ago. We chose to stay put, to ride it out. We've done we've done Helena and Ian before, and we're in a very sturdy high-rise building with 150-mile strong windows. So the danger for us was really more loss of power, and the storm surge will not affect us, not directly anyway.
Now, knowing that emergency responders may not be able to get help to you potentially for a while, how have you prepared? What preparations have you done to be ready for this storm?
Very good question. We obviously prepared both cold and warm food, use warm food as long as we have power, and then switch to cold food once we lose power, if and when that happens. With Helena, we lost power for about 2 days and lost Wi-Fi for 3 days. Drinks, water, iced tea, those kinds of things. And we moved all our portable objects in the living room, dining room area in case the window breaches. Then we don't have any missiles flying around to injure us. So we moved those things inside.
With the storm moving closer, Vlad, any second guessing on your part right now? Are you feeling okay? We obviously want you to be, of course.
Yes, we're feeling okay. I was second guessing it. This was not a spontaneous decision. We thought about it long and hard and decided that this is going to work for us. Okay. And so far we're doing okay. The winds have started to pick up, as your reporter just mentioned. But up till now, it was just mostly slight winds and rain. We have not seen any surges yet.
Vlad Natsev, we hope that remains the case. We're going to be checking in with you just off the air, just to make sure you're doing all right as this storm gets closer and closer. Vlad, thank you for talking with us and explaining your thought process and your preparations as well. Best of luck to you and your wife.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Of course. Let me take you a little further north now. Vlad was in Sarasota. Marissa Parra is in Tampa. And already you've seen crews busy dropping off, before Milton was coming on shore, trying to get debris over to a kind of a makeshift landfill. Now the storm is getting closer. I see the rain. It looks like the wind is picking up. Tell me more.
Yeah, we're seeing wind gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour, Hallie. It's pretty ugly outside. There is nobody that should be driving in these conditions as we get closer, and that is what we're hearing across the counties here. And I will say that I have heard for the past several days from several different first responders and county sheriff's offices, including Pasco County Sheriff's Office. They were very clear that because of the debris risk, they were not going to be putting their first responders at risk when it comes to going out there and doing the same overnight water rescues that we saw during Hurricane Helene. They said if they see debris flying around, they're not going to be doing that to their first responders because they want to make sure they keep their people safe.
Yeah.
And so, Hallie, when we talk about what's left behind, the lessons learned from Hurricane Helene, obviously a lot of people did evacuate, and there is so much devastation that is left behind that makes these communities so much more vulnerable than they normally would. And of course, the winds, the floods, the flood risks, the storm surge risks, even more heightened because of that debris, which we've talked about all the reasons why that could be possible. But I want to point something out. When it comes to the fatalities that we saw from Hurricane Helene, these devastating lessons that were learned, when it comes to the people who died, most of them were in mandatory evacuation zones. Of course, we don't know the reasons why they did not evacuate, but we know most of them were in Zone A, and most of them were elderly, and most of them drowned inside of their home. So this is what we're looking at, the people who might be left behind. You know, it's people often, what I've heard from people on the ground who did survive, who rode out the storm, what I heard resoundingly is they didn't expect it to be this bad. And by the time they realized it was that bad, it was too late. And so that is, of course, top of mind. So many people here. I spoke to a woman who made it out of Bradenton, which, of course, now is looking like it could be getting the brunt of this storm. She left this morning. It was a last-second decision. She knew she only had until noon to make it out, and she is very concerned about the people left behind. But, you know, she and so many others are just hoping for the best, but knowing that no matter where the storm lands, somebody is going to be getting the brunt, and it's not going to be pretty, Hallie.
And regardless of whether you get the storm surge, whether you get the high winds and a lot of rain, the power outages are a massive concern. We've already seen power outages in the state even before Milton now has moved on shore. The possibility that those outages could extend days or even weeks is very real.
It is, and that is something that I think sometimes gets lost in the messaging, and not necessarily even the messaging, but when people are thinking about the heightened risk here, they maybe don't think about the power outages as the top of mind concern for them, but that is something that has proven deadly before. We've seen that with previous natural disasters. We've seen that in Texas before with previous hurricanes, especially in states like these that get so hot, the lack of air conditioning, where, you know, people who rely on electricity for life-saving equipment that they need, that they rely on. And so we have, of course, seen that before. That is a big concern and something that everyone is keeping an eye on, which is another reason why authorities were asking people to evacuate early and to do it before now, because now it's too late. At this point, look at these conditions. This is the reason. You see those trees behind me? This is the reason that all of those major bridges that connect Pinellas County, which encompasses those barrier islands, which encompasses St. Petersburg, they are all now closed, Hallie. So if somebody even wanted to try to get off of St. Petersburg, they have their work cut out for them because they're going to have to drive hours north. What would normally be a 20-minute drive across that bridge is now going to be an hours-long drive. And God only knows what the conditions are like, because the videos and photos we're getting, we have barely even seen the full force of this storm, Hallie. We're already seeing water pooling, and I'm already seeing flooding on certain streets around this area. Hallie?
Marissa Parra. Marissa, thank you so much. We talked about the power outages. We are just learning in the last 2 minutes here that about 250,000 people already in Florida do not have power. Nearly 270,000 customers ahead of the landfall here. And we also know that in Pinellas County, sheriff's deputies are getting pulled in from the road. It is not just the Gulf Coast, although that is where the focus is right now. It is also areas more inland, including Orlando, which is where we find our Priscilla Thompson. Priscilla, the expectation there is the possibility for extreme flooding, too, from the rain.
Right, Hallie, and the rain here has been coming down like this for the past several hours, and you can see already about 4 foot of water coming off of this road, making it to that storm drain. But the water is already starting to pool, and we are not even yet in the worst of it. And so folks here say that they have been preparing. They are prepared. We've seen sandbagging and all of those things, but they are still worried. I talked to a woman, Terry, who lives in St. Petersburg, lost everything during Hurricane Helene. Everything that she has is now in a 10-foot by 10-foot storage unit on the first floor of a storage unit. So she's very worried about her things there. And now she's here, and she was just very emotional, clinging to a rosary. She said that she has been praying nonstop, just hoping that this will not be as bad as they say it's expected to be. Hallie?
Priscilla Thompson, live for us there in Orlando. Priscilla, it has just been startling to see some of the people that you've talked to that have escaped Helene, that are now dealing, of course, with Milton coming through. I want to turn back now to Florida's Gulf Coast, where we understand that Milton should be making landfall, looking at our clock, maybe as early as 2.5 hours from now. I want to bring in Jody Fisk, the Director of Public Safety for Manatee County, which is just north of Sarasota. And Director, it is scary to think about the fact that based on the latest track, it seems like you are in the bullseye right now for a direct hit from Milton. What is the biggest priority on your mind as we speak?
Right now, we've managed to get just over 10,000 people in shelters. We've got a number of pets that are also sheltered with them, just making sure that people know that where they are now is where they're going to stay for landfall, and try to keep them off the roads and keep them safe. And really just make sure that they're signed up for all of the alerts, so that we've already seen a lot of tornadoes across the state as a result of this storm. So making sure that everybody's staying as informed as possible.
Have first responders been pulled off the roads at this point?
Yes, ma'am. We actually just got word about that just a few minutes ago, that the winds have become too high for the responders to be able to safely respond.
Okay. And again, this is something that you and others have been warning about for days leading up to a storm like this. How about power outages? We just reported that there seem to be about 250,000 across the state. I assume some of those are in Manatee County. What have you been seeing on that front?
Yes, ma'am. We're starting to get some of those reports now. We're seeing some reports of some localized road flooding. Unfortunately, we have had a few reports of some structure fires. So we're really just starting to get a lot of information coming into the EOC very quickly now as the storm is getting closer.
Yeah, it sure is. I know Anna Maria Island is one of the barrier islands in your county. It took a huge hit from Helene. There were mandatory evacuations in place for people to get out. Are you confident that everybody who needed to get out of those evacuation zones actually did?
I am confident that a number of people did. Our responders did door-to-door knocks on the islands, especially to make sure that people knew that they were in an evacuation zone. They met very little resistance for anyone who may not have wanted to leave. So I remain hopeful that everybody evacuated the barrier islands and the levels B and C as well. So hopefully they are safely inside our shelters right now.
You said at a briefing earlier today that your county may have to shut off the power to try to protect critical infrastructure. What goes into that decision, something that could affect hundreds of thousands of people? Can you give us some insight?
So typically what happens is, if there's a life safety issue and the fire chiefs decide that power is an obstruction to life safety, then they actually will work in collaboration with the power company, whichever one it is, to request the de-energization of that area.
Okay. What's your message to people in your county right now, Jody, as we look to see Milton coming on shore really in the next couple of hours?
Please be safe. Stay where you are. Now is the time to shelter in place. If you have an emergency, dial 911. Because we can't get on the road right now doesn't mean we can't get on the road later. And then if there's any questions that you have, 311 for any general questions. But please just shelter in place. Now is the time to stay.
Jody Fisk, thank you so much. We're hoping that everybody in your county and beyond stays safe and stays healthy. Thank you. We appreciate that. So to reset here, we are now waiting for Hurricane Milton to officially make landfall. The eye wall now, based on the latest track, and you see it on the weather radar in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, is that it is still maybe 40-ish miles offshore. It is getting closer by the minute. The latest expectation for track is that it should hit right near Bradenton. You just heard, of course, from the Director of Public Safety for Manatee County. That is a bit north of Sarasota and a bit south of Tampa proper. What does it mean for Sarasota, however? You know, if you've been watching any of the hurricane coverage over the last couple of days, that storm surge is worst on the south side of the hurricane. That means that Sarasota could see that potentially historic storm surge 10 to maybe 15 feet. That's the first floor of a house, right? Talking about maybe getting up even into the second level of a home. That is the level of water that we're talking about here. We have also critically seen several tornadoes, at least 17 across the state, but at least one in Fort Pierce on the other side of the state, over on the East Coast, the Atlantic side, that seems to have done some real damage there. A powerful wedge tornado. We've been showing you some of the video of the debris. We've been showing you some of the video of the twister itself forming, crossing I-95 over in that part of the state. So for Florida, it is a state of emergency. and they are bracing now for what is next. Here in Washington, where I'm sitting, President Biden has addressed the nation just in the last hour, and one of his big messages was do not fall for what he described as disinformation, lies that he described as un-American about the storm response and the storm coverage. Let me play a little bit of that here.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop.
I want to go right to Gabe Gutierrez, who has posted up at the White House. This is a big push from the Biden administration to try to make sure that people are clear on the facts.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. And look, this push has been intensifying over the last few days. The president speaking twice today publicly, and as you said, within the past hour or so, speaking from the Roosevelt Room, really taking, highlighting this issue of misinformation. Now, he called out not just Marjorie Taylor Greene by name, but also former President Trump, who over the past several weeks in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene has been saying several false claims, including that survivors of Helene would only get $750 from FEMA and no more. That is not true. They can apply for more money. That $750, as we've been reporting, is simply for an upfront payment for emergency costs. Now, the president went through this several times. He mentioned some of the more outlandish claims that are now on social media. He called it un-American, as you pointed out, and he really saw some anger there from President Biden, and the administration, as I said, has been ramping up its efforts over the last few days to fight this misinformation. One of the main consequences, and I spoke with a FEMA administrator yesterday, she says that one of the consequences of this is that it breeds mistrust in government, and that could lead to people who really do need help from FEMA not applying for it. And so that's part of the reason why the White House has been so out in front of this over the last several days, Hallie.
Gabe Gutierrez live for us at the White House. Gabe, thank you. I want to take you back down south, of course, to the state of Florida, and you can see what it looks like there. We're going to sneak in a very quick break, but coming up, we're going to talk more about those tornadoes, including one just touching down in St. Lucie. Look at that. You see the debris flying across the highway there. This is the other side of the state as the outer bands of Milton have reached almost the Atlantic coast. At least 17 tornadoes have touched down in Florida today, with more than 100 tornado warnings altogether, the most this state has seen in a single day. And look at that. You see it, that twister cloud there, moving relatively quickly right across your screen, right across the highway. We will be right back with much more of our rolling coverage right here on NBC News Now. Don't go anywhere. We are back now with our special coverage of Hurricane Milton, that monster storm that is now closing in on Florida's Gulf Coast. It is set to cross the state of Florida, exiting on basically the Atlantic coast side. Chase Kane is in Daytona Beach, Florida, in that area. And Chase, one of the big factors here, as we just talked about right before the break, have been those tornadoes, those apparent tornadoes touching down in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and just check. We have so far 16 confirmed tornadoes, Hallie, but the National Weather Service office in Miami actually set a record today for the number of tornado warnings that they had to issue in a single day, at least 38, which broke the previous record set just a couple of years ago by Hurricane Ian. Here in Daytona Beach, you can see that the winds are picking up. We've been keeping an eye on the winds. We're pretty consistently around 30, 35 miles an hour, just beneath tropical storm force. But when we get to that 39 mile an hour sustained winds, they're actually going to close the bridges from the barrier islands to the mainland. That's why this area, Zone A in Daytona Beach and Volusia County, is under mandatory evacuation orders. And county officials say they already have close to 1,000 people taking shelter in the county, which is certainly a good thing because there's the very real risk of storm surge here. We're basically at low tide right now, but when high tide was here earlier, Hallie, the water was basically at the edge of this road, right at the top of the sand. So if you have high tide and then you have 4, 5, 6 feet of storm surge on top of that, you're talking about water that's probably up to my chest here, sending water all the way down into the road and down into the town here of Daytona Beach, Hallie.
This storm has exploded in size. We've seen that happen, and at nearly every update, something slightly unpredictable happened. We saw, for example, at the last update at 5 p.m., and we'll get another one in a couple of hours from now, that little bit of a wobble to the north that put Sarasota really in the path of that storm surge. That is always a factor here, right? These sort of last-minute tiny moves that could have a big impact on the ground.
Yeah, especially the, sort of the angle that the storm is going at is also going to make a big difference because, if it's kind of going parallel to the coast, Hallie, and then takes a little bit of wobble right to the right, all of a sudden now you've got the heart of that eye maybe pushing into a bay or an inlet, which can obviously amplify the risk of storm surge. And that's why for days, local officials and state officials have been telling people, if you're at the coast, you got to get out of there. And then again, here in Daytona Beach, we're going to get it on the flip side in the early morning hours as the winds start to shift and blow that water here in off of the Atlantic.
Chase Kane, live for us there along Daytona Beach. Chase, thank you very much. I want to take you back now to the other side of the state, Florida's Gulf Coast, and bring in the mayor of Fort Myers, Kevin Anderson. Mayor Anderson, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
One of the conversations we've been having here during our rolling coverage has been about the risk of tornadoes spinning off from this storm. I want to show folks some damage right where you are, right there in Fort Myers, just hours before Milton was set to come on shore. What are you seeing on the ground as far as damage from the tornado and as far as any preliminary, water, flooding, et cetera, before Milton comes on land?
So we did have several tornadoes touch down in the area and cause some damage. I have not gotten any full reports as to if there's been any injuries or anything. So far, no reports of flooding, but you can see the water's high. So once the rains start coming, we know the flood's going to be there.
Okay, I want to just pick up on that because that's important. So far, as you know, no reports of injuries from those tornadoes. Do I have that right?
I have not received any, no.
Got it. Okay. We talk about the storm surge and the potential that it could reach perhaps unprecedented levels, maybe up to 15 feet in Fort Myers. I'm looking at some of these houses. That's as tall as the first floor of some of these houses here. Talk about how you're trying to mitigate that risk. Are you confident that the people who needed to evacuate did?
I wish I could say with 100% yes, but I know there are some who have stayed behind, and that concerns me. I was here for Ian. I saw the flood.
Yeah.
And we're going to have at least twice as much water come in. So I just hope these people are able to take care of themselves. As we all know, there comes a period of time where emergency services cannot be out there responding.
Has that time come for Fort Myers? I mean, are they done? Have you pulled them back?
No. Usually when it gets up around 40, 45 miles an hour wind, I haven't been notified that we've hit that yet. But once it gets up that high, the emergency responders, they pull back and they stay safe until it passes.
Mr. Mayor, you said something. You said that you think that at least the forecasts are that you might get twice as much water now with Milton as you did with Ian. That has to put a pit in your stomach, given how bad the damage was from Ian and the devastation from that storm 2 years ago.
It does, because I started with the Fort Myers Police Department in 1979, and our downtown closed down 5 o'clock every day. It was not a nice place after dark. We now have built it up to a very active, vibrant downtown, and I live in the heart of downtown. I watched the waters come in, and I was just so afraid that we would lose so many businesses and just take so many steps backwards.
Do you have that same fear now?
Watching the businesses recover from Ian, I'm a little bit more comfortable because they have taken steps to safeguard their properties, but there's always that risk. There's a business or two that takes this hit for the third time and they're not able to recover.
Mayor Kevin Anderson, thinking about you, so many people across the country are hoping that you and your community and your region emerge unscathed from Hurricane Milton. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
One of the things that you just heard us talk about with the mayor was the risk of tornadoes, with, as you heard him say, several touching down in the Fort Myers area. Fortunately, so far as he knows, no injuries yet, but we know in all there have been at least 17, with 111 tornado warnings, the most Florida has seen in one day. One of those apparent tornadoes was in St. Lucie County. I want to show you here the sheriff's office going online to show a building destroyed by that tornado. Let me play you what he said.
I'm St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson. Earlier, we were live putting the message out there because this threat is real. Right here at the Sheriff's Office, 4700 West Midway Road. About 10 minutes ago, a tornado came ripping through here. This is a devastating tornado. It took out that 10,000 square foot red iron building with all of our patrol cars underneath it. Thankfully, nobody was in there at the time. This thing came through and took this out within a moment. Of course, stuff going. We hear the winds going. We're going to go ahead and step back and go back inside for some shelter. But again, if you're seeing this video and you're getting these warnings, take cover, take shelter. This is a real storm. This is a dangerous storm. Be safe and know that we're out here to get you.
That very clear message, take this seriously. We want to show you one of the big tornadoes that hit Fort Pierce. Look at the left side of your screen. You see it crossing your screen there. You see it's called a wedge tornado, according to our meteorologists, and that is a powerful one, potentially more so than some of those tornadoes that you might typically see spin off in a hurricane, which tend to be a little bit lighter, a little bit faster, according to our own Bill Cairns. We're going to keep you updated on any of these movements as we get more information about what's happening on the ground. We're going to sneak in a very quick break. We're going to get you back to the forecast right on the other side. We'll be right back here on NBC News Now. We are back with our special coverage of Hurricane Milton heading right toward Florida now. Looking at the clock, just about 2 hours potentially from making landfall. That window sometime between 9 p.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. Eastern. Want to take you now, you see it on the right side of your screen, to Clearwater, just across the bay from Tampa, where police officers and fire officials are now off the roads. Anybody who has not evacuated is being told, don't try to do it now. Stay in place, shelter in place, hunker down until Milton has passed. The storm surge forecast there anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, possibly 12 feet. Clearwater Mayor Bruce Rector is joining us now. Mayor Rector, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Hallie.
First of all, where are you coming to us from? Where are you sheltering?
Well, I'm at City Hall. It's a sturdy building, and so right now I'm just trying to coordinate, keep track of what's happening, and communicate that to our citizens. We just got an extreme wind warning, in addition to the pulling our officers off the streets, as you mentioned. That's from the National Weather Service, and the winds may be sustained up over 100 miles an hour. So everyone should stay indoors at this point.
Have you noticed before you yourself went indoors? My hope is that Clearwater is a ghost town to some degree, that people have heeded your warnings to evacuate. Has that been your experience today as you've taken your last walk through?
Well, we're a fairly large city. We're the third largest city in Tampa Bay, and a different type of city because we have barrier islands. So Clearwater Beach, Sandkey, and Island Estates are barrier islands. I drove every street yesterday, and mostly it was evacuated. And that's our most vulnerable area. We have a lot of debris still from Hurricane Hallie out there. So it's very important for us to evacuate the beach area. And I believe most people did that. Inland, most people were staying off the streets this afternoon. I went and checked on a couple of shelters. Our shelters were crowded. We had a lot of people, which is a good thing. We're getting out from harm's way, and the traffic had minimized a lot when I was out this afternoon.
Just so folks know, Mr. Mayor, as we're taking a look at the screen here, on the left is a live look at St. Petersburg, Florida. And then just underneath you on our screen are piles of debris that have been left over in various places in the region from Hurricane Helene, which, as you know, blew through a couple of weeks ago. There was damage from that storm. Are you concerned about that debris left over and the potential that some of those objects could become essentially projectiles, given the wind speeds you're talking about?
Absolutely. It was just overwhelming to try to get rid of it all. I heard Mayor Castro from Tampa say it was really a 3-month removal process ordinarily, and we tried to do that in 2 weeks. And so we got as much as we could, but there's still a lot of debris out there. That's why I really encourage residents on the beaches who lived in high-rises, condominiums, to not feel like you were safe just because you were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th floor of a condominium building. Those projectiles could come up to your windows as well. And I think we got that message across to our beach residents, even those in the high-rise buildings.
You mentioned wanting to be in place, Mayor Rector, to be able to assess information coming in and be able to communicate that out. What is the latest information that you have coming into you right now?
Well, it's deteriorating, and the winds are picking up. This excessive wind warning, which the National Weather Service just issued for our area, I heard a weather forecaster local here say that that is a very rare advisory that they put out. It's only in select hurricanes, and the winds have to really be a threat to themselves to the entire area. So We're going to be a little bit north of the eye of the hurricane, it looks like, when it makes windfall. So that will help us some with the storm surge, but we have lots of wind exposure all throughout Tampa Bay, and ask our residents to shelter in place, stay away from windows, listen to the media to make sure there's not a tornado or an immediate threat to you. And definitely shelter in place and stay in the interior of your home.
Have you seen any tornadoes in Clearwater, sir?
We haven't. I saw the one you showed, which I guess they call a wedge tornado, which is kind of unusual. It's not the typical funnel cloud. It's a wider tornado, and obviously that's look, I'm sure it's doing a lot of destruction, as you can see. No, earlier in the evening, I was watching the weather closely, and there were quite a few tornadoes out in not just Tampa Bay, but towards Orlando, the middle of the state.
Clearwater, Florida Mayor Bruce Rector. Mayor Rector, thank you so much for being with us. Please, please stay safe. We'll be checking in, I know, throughout the night and into the morning. I appreciate it. So you heard the mayor talk about the potential for tornadoes there in Clearwater. We are now getting word from the town manager of Wellington, Florida, unfortunately, that the town has had multiple people injured after a tornado passed through that area. Now, again, the one that we're showing you here is the tornado, that wedge tornado we were just referencing from Fort Pierce. Wellington, Florida is further south. If you're familiar with the area north of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, it's just outside West Palm Beach, essentially. That is where a tornado has blown through. Again, the Atlantic coast of the state, like that side of Florida. Multiple injuries, according to the town manager there, speaking with one of our colleagues here at NBC News. All of this is happening as on the Gulf Coast, you now have multiple counties suspending emergency services, as we've talked about with some of these officials who have been on the broadcast so far. We understand that the Coast Guard now is getting personnel, aircraft, boats ready as well. And the Palm Beach Airport over there in West Palm has suspended operations, too, as you're looking at debris from that hurricane. That tornado that was further up the Atlantic coast. Let me bring back in Bill Cairns now. Bill, you've been watching the maps. You've been tracking this. Where is Milton now? What's its latest timing? And what do we know?
We're in the heart and what we'd call the core of the hurricane as it's moving on shore. And that means you're getting the strongest wind gusts, you're getting the heaviest rain, and this is when we're going to start losing power. We have that extreme wind warning. That means that we're going to see that northern eye heading up through the Tampa Bay area. Some of the strongest winds will be associated with the heavy rain there. And I used our zoomed-in NexRad radar. It's a much better view of the actual center of the circulation. And you can see it there, only roughly about 20 to 30 miles off the coast of Sarasota. So when that comes on shore, the center, that's when we'll be talking about the landfall. But if you notice that bright pink and red just to the north of that, this is where the torrential rain is. This is all through St. Petersburg, the Tampa, and this is where this helps mix down the wind. And so this is going to be the strongest wind gusts over the next 3 hours here for Clearwater, St. Petersburg, Bradenton, northwards. And you notice some of the light green around Bradenton. You're closest to the eye and getting into the clear. So that's why Tampa, you may never get into the clear. The good news for the Tampa Bay area is I feel safe to say now, you are going to get the storm surge blowing out. You are not going to have that destructive storm surge. This is going to make landfall south of you. So for everyone that was so concerned about that potential for water up to the first floor of homes in Tampa Bay, that looks highly, highly unlikely at this point with that landfall to your south. So anyone that has evacuated, family, friends that were so concerned about their properties all along Tampa Bay and Clearwater Beach, Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, you're not going to get that destructive storm surge. To the south
problem
of there
is, Bill,
go ahead.
Exactly. I was just going to, exactly what you said. Like, okay, it's not going to hit those folks, but it will have an impact further south where those people will see that storm surge up to the first floor.
Yeah, correct. So if you notice, I have the wind field up here, by the way, and that bright red circle in the center, that's where the hurricane gusts are going to be. That's now approaching the coast. So at this point, the yellow shows tropical storm gusts, which, by the way, go from Miami northwards. I want to show you, this is kind of a new thing that we've done the last couple of years from NOAA. They actually drop what we call a sail drone. Obviously, it floats on the surface of the water. It stays upright somehow with its cameras. Amazing technology. It's close enough to the coast that we can get the signal back from it. This was not in the eye. This was about 50 miles from the center of it. It reported 28-foot waves. And this is the whole mess that's now going to be arriving on the coast. That's going to be the storm surge with the wave action on top of it. Pretty incredible technology. That's a good example and reason why every single boat and shipper takes all of their boats out of the way of these storms, because no one wants to be in those. And now we're starting to see these wind gusts picking up. Just had a 66-mile-per-hour gust St. Petersburg. Look at Brooksville there at 66. And we were talking about that storm surge, and now we're adjusting it. Notice that Tampa, St. Petersburg, that's come down. That probably even should come down more. But south of there, that's where it's coming in. I just saw pictures coming in, Hallie. Poor Fort Myers. If you know Margaritaville there, you know the beach that was devastated by Ian. The water is now into the bottom of those buildings.
Bill, we mentioned Wellington, Florida, and the town manager reporting multiple injuries from a tornado there. Does that have to do with those offshore bands of Milton spinning off some of those tornadoes?
Yeah, this was a thing we dealt with all day long in the afternoon. The thing that I'm actually, I'll reverse through my maps here a little bit. We're now seeing the tornado threat starting to end. A lot of those big supercells have pushed off the coast and have exited Florida. So that is one decent piece of good news there, that the tornado threat is, at least for the time being, minimized. It was an incredible afternoon. I'm sure when we're said and done, we had numerous powerful tornadoes. We know that we have search and rescue going on. We know some mobile homes were hit, which tornadoes and mobile homes are a horrendous combination.
Yep. A lot of people sending a lot of prayers to that area. Bill Cairns, thank you very much, as you have much more to track, I know, in the hours to come. We showed you that wedge tornado. We've been talking about that area of St. Lucie. Let me bring in the public information officer, the PIO for that area, Eric Gill. Mr. Gill, thank you so much for being with us. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
I sure can. So what happened?
We've had multiple tornadoes touch down here in St. Lucie County, which is on the Florida's east coast between Miami and Orlando, sometime between 4:30 and 5:30, at all ends of the county, from the city of Port St. Lucie all the way up to Fort Pierce. Again, we've got multiple tornadoes that have touched down, different neighborhoods. We know one neighborhood, there's at least 20 homes that were damaged. Right now, we have our management officials here at our Emergency Operations Center working with the Coast Guard, fire rescue, and law enforcement to dispatch crews into those neighborhoods to clear debris, check on residents, get them to any of the shelters that we have open, or if we need to open additional shelters, we're ready to do that as well.
Have you heard any reports of any injuries from those tornadoes, sir?
At this time, we don't have injury reports. Like I said, it's been recent and unfolding in the last hour and a half to 2 hours, but crews are getting out as quickly as they can. We ask residents in this area that they only call 911 for emergencies. We do have our rumor control or information hotlines open, so if residents have general questions or concerns, they can call that number at 772-460-HELP. And it's also on our website at stlucieco.gov, and keep those 911 lines open for emergencies.
Yeah. So from the several tornadoes that you've seen in your counties, you're thinking at least 20 homes damaged, but no injuries reported yet. Do you believe that the risk for tornadoes is over? Is it still a concern as Milton is getting ready to come onshore over on the Gulf Coast? Obviously, it's going to pass over the East Coast here in hours from now.
Yeah, that's always one of the challenges with these hurricanes, even as they approach landfall. Tornadoes don't give you as much warning as we experienced this afternoon. I've worked for St. Lucie County for 21 years, so I've seen our share of storms here going back to Francis and Jean 20 years ago. But this so far has been the worst tornado activity that we've seen in the 25 years I've lived here.
Wow. It is sobering to think about. Eric Gill, much more to come, I know, throughout the evening. Thank you for being with us, and we'll keep checking back in with you. I appreciate that. I want to take you up to Tampa now, folks, because in Tampa, we have just gotten what's described as an extreme wind warning in effect. As you heard Bill Cairns lay out, that is in effect for the next 2.5 hours now for extremely dangerous hurricane winds. Our Stephanie Gosk is in Tampa now, live for us. Steph, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Hallie, we've really seen an increase in the winds. You see the trees bending. They're coming in these huge gusts. They're clearly getting stronger. There are reports of wind gusts in the 40s, 50s, even one as strong as 60 miles an hour here in Tampa. But we did actually get some good news there for the people in Tampa from Bill Cairns. Because of the track of the storm, those huge surges that we were talking about, that they were so scared about getting here in Tampa Bay, may not occur. That doesn't mean there won't be surge, because there will be. And there will also be a ton of rain, which we have been seeing all day long here, upwards of a foot of rain. We also can tell you that we went out to a lot of those low-lying areas, those areas that needed to be evacuated, that are facing mandatory evacuations, and we didn't see any residents, any homeowners. We saw some police, but it really did seem like people were heeding the warnings. And we're also monitoring the shelters here in Tampa and have noticed that a lot of them are getting up to capacity or are at capacity, which also shows that people here in this city are heeding those warnings, Hallie.
It's probably going off on your phone, Steph, but we are being told that the shelter-in-place warning or alert has just gone in place now for Pinellas County. As you say, first responders off the road. And we should note one of the things that a lot of people are bracing for, in addition to the wind, in addition to the rain, the storm surge, the potential for tornadoes, are the possibility of extended power outages. Right now, new numbers just into us, more than 300,000 people already, before this storm has even made landfall, are out of power in the state of Florida, Steph.
Yeah, out of power and also out of their homes, too, Hallie. We've been looking at those long, those shots of streets that are just filled with debris. Now, each pile of debris that you look at is a family that is displaced. And now they probably have been displaced again. I spoke to an emergency room doctor who works at a pediatric hospital. She lives in St. Petersburg. She has 4 kids between the ages of 6 and 12. Their house was destroyed in Hurricane Helene. They then moved in with a very kind friend who took them in. But then they had to be evacuated again. She is at work at her hospital. Her 4 children are sheltering with her in the hospital while she's doing her job. I mean, people, it's just hardship on top of hardship for people in this area.
Stephanie Goss, thank you so much for that live for us in Tampa. On the left side of your screen, folks, if you're wondering what you're looking at, that's that tornado we were just talking about in Wellington, Florida. Remember, that's the one just outside West Palm Beach. Did you see that as it's moving across the screen? Whoever's taking this video, trying to stay with it there, but you saw some of those flashes as it appeared to go over some power lines there. The town manager in that town has reported multiple injuries so far. It is something that we are obviously watching incredibly closely here. On the other side of the state, of course, on the Gulf Coast side, Hurricane Milton is now just about 2 hours away from making landfall just north of Sarasota, just south of Tampa. We've got more coverage right here on NBC News Now coming up right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.